Hi, I'm Jacob with Joey Bikes, and I'm here to show you how to assemble a Joey Hopper kids bike. So, we got our bike in the mail here. We'll open up the box. All right, we got a 12-inch red Hopper kids bike. We'll go ahead and pull that out of the box. Make sure you get all your small parts removed as well. We got a parts box with some goodies in there. We got a seat and a pair of training wheels. Looks like the reflector might have came off, so I'll put that back on. And then we'll just start removing the packaging. So for the Joey Hopper bikes, the 12-inch, the 14, the 16, and the 18-inch all come with training wheels here. The 18-inch also comes with the kickstand, and the 20-inch, the largest Hopper bike, comes with the kickstand only, no training wheels. Got a water bottle here. Let's see what we got in the small parts box. Get all those things laid out so we make sure we got everything we need and we're not missing anything. All right, reflectors, those are good. Oh, comes with the bell, very nice. Pair of pedals. Looks like we got some tools included, so that's great. Owner's manual. Oh, and of course, make sure, always wear your helmet. Instructions here, we'll keep that for our records. Oh, here you go. Toll-free customer service support, US-based customer support line. And we'll just continue to get the rest of this packaging off of there. One thing you want to be careful of is not to scratch your bike as you cut off some of the packaging. We've got a bell, of course, the reflectors, tools included, pedals. Make sure you've got the pedals. So you can see pedals pair there. We have a left and a right stickers, and that's also marked on the end here. So I think the first step will be getting the training wheels assembled and put on there. Luckily, these pedals already come ready to go, so we will have to remove the nut here if that's tight. Grab yourself an adjustable wrench to put on there. This all the way. And you can see we have the axle nut. We have a washer. And then we have the spacer. Little key on there, and this helps guide the training wheel so it doesn't rotate in place. So that will go on first. The training wheel, you can see the guide fits on the bracket, and that will go right back onto the axle of the bike. You'll put the washer over the axle again, and then finally take that outer axle nut and thread that on there. Right now we'll just get that loosely put on, and then I'll install the other side here real quick. And make sure you get the washer put on before you install that outer axle nut. And then just get those just kind of finger tight, because we'll need to adjust the height when we get the bike fully assembled. So now that we have the training wheels on there, it's going to help keep the bike upright and balanced a little bit more as we continue the assembly process. One nice thing that I'll show you here just real quick. The bike does come with a chain guard on there too, so that's really nice. Okay, we'll get the handlebar installed. The stem is already included. We'll take a, looks like that's probably a 6mm, and we'll see the tool that gets supplied. Oh yeah, we'll just put that right down in there. Just get those loosened up to start. And usually you can just undo 2 of those a little ways, and that'll give you enough. Well, not quite. We'll do both sides. Loosen that up, and then you can position your handlebars in a little bit more comfortable riding position for your little one. So you really want to loosen those up, it seems like. And remember, you don't need to take them all the way out. Just loose enough so that the stem, there we go, you can rotate those handlebars to whatever position you want. Now this would be a great time if you have any grease to apply a little bit of grease both down into the steering column where the stem will go into. I'll just swirl that around a little bit in there. And then while you have your grease brush down inside of the seat tube where the saddle will go. If you don't have a brush, a little bit on your finger, right on the inside, that works perfectly fine too. Any extra, put onto that quill nut for the stem, and you'll drop this stem right down into the steering column. And you can see as it wedges there, if it doesn't open enough, you can stick that wrench down into the top of the stem and loosen that to give yourself a little more leeway so that this bottom of the stem will just slide right in there. It is important to notice the minimum insertion lines so that the stem is inserted past those little grooves carved into the stem. So this would be about as high as this handlebar could go, or you could have it all the way down low for its smallest rider. So you have the height position decided that will work best for your child. Go ahead and tighten that top bolt back up. We will go ahead, find about a position where if the front wheel was on there, you want to have the handlebars not rolled back completely and not forward, so just tilted back a little bit. So you would find where that is, and again, go back and tighten these stem bolts evenly, working from one side to the next, and then to the back. As you remember, we loosened all 4 of these. Because if there's one thing you don't want, it's the little rider of this bicycle to have loose handlebars. Tighten down securely. And then once you start to feel it really tighten up, go around one last time to snug up all 4 bolts. We can do a little bit more on this one. There we go. Next step, we'll get the front wheel installed on this bike. So we do have a couple axle nuts here, along with a safety tab on each side. So that way the wheel will be prevented from falling out just in case these nuts come loose. Make sure you have plenty of space to slide the fork over the axle, potentially having to squeeze the tire to get it over the brake pad, and then the axle falling evenly into the dropouts on both sides. Then you will want to put the safety tab in its locked position with its little point falling into that first bottom hole next to the axle on both sides of the wheel. And again, this is a safety feature to make sure that even if these nuts are loose, the wheel does not fall out. But always make sure you tighten those bolts. So we'll do one side. And you get that nice and snug before moving to the other side. And now we have the wheel securely in the frame. Let's do the water bottle and bracket installation next. So we have a nut and bolt pre-installed on this frame with a washer below the head of the bolt. The water bottle bracket will slide over the bolt, and then you will tighten that down with the provided tools here. Let's see, that'd probably be that one right there. So the way I'm going to do it is put it on the bottom, and use a Phillips screwdriver to hold that in place. All right, looks like we still need to go a little bit tighter. This is a little tricky here. So the way I'm going to do it is tighten this a little bit more without that water bottle bracket. And then I'm just going to slide it on there. That's a little easier. And hold that in place and turn the bottom nut. Now we can install the saddle and seat post. We will slide that down in, and it may be necessary to bend that bracket just a little bit on the water bottle. So now we can get that fully inserted, find the correct height for the rider, and then we will close the quick release, having to tighten the left side nut and forcing it so you feel just a bit of pressure when it is even with the bolt head, and then push down, locking it in place, making it nice and sturdy. Next, we will move on to setting up of the front brake. As you can see here, the wheel is even within the frame, but only one brake arm is moving. The other is still touching or rubbing on the frame there. So I will take the tool provided, place that on the inside of the nut of the bolt going through that brake, centering it out. And this may be necessary to do a couple times. And there I went too far. Perfect, nice and even. Now that you have the brake centered, you will want to ensure that the brake pads are hitting level on the rim. You can see in this case, both pads need to be adjusted slightly so that they hit that rim in the right position. The best way to do that, apply the brake lever, again with the tool provided, loosen the acorn nut on the back of this brake pad, not removing it fully, just loosening it, which allows you to rotate and position that pad in the correct position while allowing yourself to move it, just relieving pressure on that pad and pulling the lever to lock it in place and hold it. As you tighten that brake pad down, one side down, one to go. Loosening ever so slightly, placing it just on the edge of the rim, making sure it does not hit the tire or drag down below the rim, like so. Perfect. Final step of the brake assembly is positioning the handle lever in the correct position. Now you want to have this pointed down at approximately a 45-degree angle, not sticking straight out, so when the rider is riding it, their hands are in a more natural position. This is locked in place, again with the tool provided. To position the lever, you will take the tool provided, insert into the bolt on top of the clamp, tightening just enough to keep it from rotating. Another benefit of the brakes on the Joey Hopper bikes is that they are all adjustable. So by screwing this screw in using a Phillips screwdriver, you can move the starting position of the lever in for a smaller hand. So I will screw this in just a little bit. There we go. To show that the brake lever has been positioned further in. And that's great. Still have excellent braking power. Again, taking some of that grease and applying it onto the threads. Thankfully, we do have some stickers on the crank arms as well. Here is the left crank arm. The left pedal is reverse threaded, so rather than righty-tighty, it is lefty-tighty. So we will put this into the hole of the crank arm, turning it left. There we go. Tightening fully by hand, being careful not to cross thread the pedal. And finally, again, with the tool provided, we will tighten this pedal onto the bike. Next, we will complete the right pedal. And this one is normal threaded, remembering matching right to right. And you will spin this to the right to tighten it. Tightening as much as possible by hand, ensuring not to cross thread. And then using the tool to cinch it down. When coming to installing the training wheels, remember that they are to aid and assist in learning balancing skills and not simply to support the rider. So when installing the height of the training wheel, and its adjustment, you want to have that raised off the ground about 1/4 of an inch. Repeat the same process on the other side, leaving just 1/4 inch of space between the training wheel and the ground. And finally, before your little one hops on to ride, make sure you install the reflectors and the bell. The reflector will wrap around the front handlebar, removing the bolt and holding the nut in place on the bottom before attaching back to the handlebar and then straightening the position of the reflector in the straight position. The bell will be added to the right side of the handlebar, again removing the clamping bolt around the handlebar and back on again. Position the bell close to the handlebar grip. You can rotate the top hammer so it is close and easy access for the thumb. We also have a rear reflector will be attached to the frame. Start by removing the screw in the frame, passing that through the reflector, and again making sure it is pointed back in the right direction. Finally, taking the rear reflector, inserting it in between the spokes and pressing it down towards the hub. Now that your brand new Joey Hopper bicycle has been assembled, be sure to inflate the tires to 40 psi before riding. Thanks, and have fun.